What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I'm pleased to present to you my review of Dead Island 2. I feel like it's taken years, to get this thing out, much like it took the game to actually release, but here's what I want to do. I want to talk about how I felt of the game, kind of go over some stats, how long it took me. I also want to address some of the criticisms that I've seen of this game over whether it's the last couple days or even when reviews went out, and talk about how I largely actually disagree with them. Let me start out by saying, a couple things. Number one, thank you to them, Deep Silver, for providing me a code. I got a review code for this game, but it unlocked the day it released. So just to be kind of transparent, I got a code, I got it for free, but it came out the day the game came out, so I didn't get a head start or anything. Also, I love this game. I think this game is actually phenomenal. There are some issues. We'll talk about that as the video goes on, but I am thoroughly impressed. I think this is one of the biggest surprises of the year. And like I said, even some of the criticisms I've seen of this game, I don't agree with. I think this is a very well-rounded game. And I'm also, to be extremely transparent, I've said this before, there's history on this on my channels, I didn't even like Dead Island. The trailer is one of the all-time greats. The trailer for Dead Island, going in reverse, is one of the best trailers ever created for anything. The game itself, I largely didn't like at all. I didn't really like Riptide. So going into 2, I'm going into it as a zombie hack and slash. I know it's a little goofy. I know it's a little serious. Let's see what it can do. And it blew my socks off. I know Mythbusters proved that you can't actually do that, but it truly actually did. You'll have to take my word for it. So let's go through a couple things. This took me about 20 hours to beat not just the main story, but I also did more than half. I think my overall progress on this game is somewhere like 72%. So that's everything. That's challenges, that's collectibles, that's everything, 72. I did the main story. I did more than half of the side missions. I think I did 20 of 33. And then there's Lost and Found, which are people that are missing, and they're basically side quests. I don't really know why they separated them, because they're kind of generally the same thing. They're also really good. And I did 9 of 15, 9 of 13. I did more than half. So this game, I put in a lot of hours. I wanted to do it thoroughly for a review. And here we are. Oh, one final thing. If you're wondering, Alex, do I really have to look at your face the whole review? Sadly, you do. You could listen to me if you want. Just click off, watch another video or watch something else. But no, honestly, what I've seen from other content creators, putting too much of Dead Island 2 in a video immediately gets you demonetized. YouTube's new policy with the blood and gore. Dead Island is a sad casualty of that, so I'm not going to show anything. Not going to show any gameplay of Dead Island. You'll just see me. It's a very unfortunate thing because, again, this game's really good, and content creators feels like it's actually kind of difficult to show this game because they just get hit on YouTube. Not really Dead Island 2's problem or their fault, but, actually, it kind of does become their problem, right? Because they have to kind of do something. So, from start to finish, I thought this game was extremely good. Let's talk about a couple of the aspects. The story. I was actually blown away because the story is quite good. The story is it's not like the greatest thing of all time, right? And it fits the mold of what Dead Island is, but it had its twists. It had emotional moments. I will say the ending, without spoiling it, the ending felt very rushed. And by ending, I literally mean the last 5 minutes. I don't even mean the last mission. I actually feel like this game was progressing to a logical end, which it did. And then it got there, and the last 5 minutes is holy dear God, seriously? So we'll talk about the future of Dead Island in the next video. I'll do a video tomorrow or the next day on Dead Island 3. I think it's very possible. But besides that, the characters in this game, I really, really liked, kind of top down. Now, the thing with characters is also the side missions and the Lost and Found. So one of the things I've seen people talk about with this game as a criticism is it's a little bare. There's not a lot to it. Number one, I disagree. Number two, I think it's more about quality over quantity. So yeah, took me 20 hours. Maybe it would take you 25 to 28. Maybe to do if you wanted to 100% this game, closer to 30, I would say it would take you that. That's not bad at all. In fact, I actually think that's a very reasonable time, and also the quality is there. A lot of the side quests, a lot of the main quests, a lot of the Lost and Found, they're not repeating themselves. There are some elements that are repeating, but generally, they're really trying to spice up the locations. They're trying to spice up the objectives of what you're doing. Everything in the game is trying to do a little something different than what the last mission did. So, and I mentioned characters. there's some really good character, whether it's like the voice acting or just good, interesting characters and interesting stories. I've talked about it before. I'm kind of over these 80, 90. Now, there's some really good games that are like 100 hours. Persona, of course, comes to mind. But there's some games that are, you know, in the high dozens and dozens of hours. And some of these side quests with characters, name me them. Tell me their story. Tell me what the side mission is. You probably forgot it because it's just it's a fetch quest. It's something just to do. I think in Dead Island 2, there's quests, especially the Lost and Found, they're stories. This person went missing. You sometimes find audio tapes that tells you their story of how they died, how they went missing, where they are. Like you'll find out info, sometimes directly told to you, sometimes through like context clues, and it's really good. It's a story. Everything in this game has a story. The main story is obviously a story, but the side missions are very unique. They're very detailed. They're meaty, but they're not like too long. I'd say they're actually more towards the shorter side, but they're in a good way. The Lost and Found stuff, these characters are interesting. They're cool characters. I like it. So everything that you're doing from a story perspective in this game, I think is great. The characters, I think, are really, really good. The gameplay, let's address, because I've seen this as well in terms of the gameplay doesn't look good. It looks I don't even know what people are saying over on Twitter. I love it. I really don't understand the anger with the gameplay. I think this game is actually very, very deep. So obviously you have the weapon system, right? You have weapons that are constantly getting better that you find throughout. If you put fuses in the fuse boxes, you'll find kind of rarer weapons. You get weapons for doing those side quests, Lost and Found. It's good to explore. It's good to do things besides the main quest because you'll get some pretty cool weapons. And then you fight, okay? So there's a lot of zombies in this game. There's a lot of variation. I think this game is actually very varied. Like, there's just a lot of them. And you have to change your style of play for some of them, right? Some of them are maybe immune to fire. Some of them maybe have, like, kind of fire in their core. I think they're, like, Inferno and then whatever the class of zombie they are. So if you're using a fire weapon, you can't use it. Use something else, right? So you're always trying to change things. You have I believe they're called curve balls, which are the, like, grenades, pipe bombs, Molotovs, like those things. I think there's like 12 or 15, there's a lot, and you can only have 2 at a time. So you're constantly saying, okay, well, what works? What's a good combination? For me, by the end of the game, it was grenade, just a normal grenade, and then a pipe bomb. I was using a Molotov, which was good, but oftentimes enemies will be fire resistant, so I stopped using it because why would I do that? So you're constantly thinking. That's one, like the strategy element. The enemies are varied. And then also there's the simple fact of whacking zombies with these weapons. It feels great. I really it's actually what annoys me almost more than anything on the critics or critiques of this game is the fighting, how it feels. Having a sword and having a very powerful sword and cutting through zombies. And again, there's strategy there. You want to like maim them. You want to cut off certain things. So I'll go after like their legs. I'll go after their arms. Sometimes if you hit a zombie hard enough like on the head, you'll stun them. Like it's really cool. Like it feels good. And a pickaxe is going to feel different than a katana, which is going to feel different than a baseball bat, which is going to feel different than whatever you want to say. And you can, again, modify them. So some of them you can put shock on, so they'll always do shock damage. I really enjoyed the combat. And again, I think it kept it varied, not just in the enemy variety, but also in what you're doing. Yes, at the end of the day, you're always killing zombies, right? That's the point of this game. So that, in a sense, maybe would get old, but you're doing it in different locations. You're doing it for different reasons. You're doing it with different weapons. You're doing it with different zombies. They do as much, I think, as they possibly can to make this game as unique and as feeling refreshed as they possibly could. I think they do a great job there. Visually, by the way, I will say shocker because, look, I don't remember how I felt about the visual look of Dead Island when it first came out. I don't think the games have aged all that well. This game looks phenomenal. The lighting, I love. So I guess one thing I didn't like is there's some areas specifically in the second half of this game, like a lot, actually too many, that are in the dark. So there'll be like a subway, like with trains and stuff, and it's very dark. Now you have a light, you could see, but it's very dark. It's harder to fight zombies. I think purposely they do it for a reason. But it doesn't let the game kind of flourish because I think I think it's Venice Beach, but it's definitely like a beach. Like there's a pier and there's an amusement park and It looks so good. It looks so good. The lighting is fantastic. I think the character models, both characters, I guess zombies are characters, but I mean like characters that'll speak to you. And then zombies, the game looks great. Now, I was playing on PC. They gave it to me on PC. And I don't actually, normally, you guys may know this if you watch my other videos, I play on consoles. I'm a console guy. I know the PC masterclass stuff. And my PC is very strong. So I can do it. I just kind of prefer not to. It did really well. I was playing it, I believe, on like the highest settings kind of all across the board. The only thing I found is if you're rushing, which I did sometimes, like I would just run from one location to the next. If you're running, zombies will actually appear, like when Thanos snaps in Avengers and they all like turn to dust. You know, when they come back and like the dust kind of gets brought together into a human being, that's actually what this game does with loading in zombies. Like, that's the best comparison I think you could come up with, not to boost my own ego, but when you're running, not buildings necessarily, they load in relatively well, but there'll be zombies that you can't see, and when you get close enough, they will reverse Thanos snap into existence. So that was a little weird, but that, I would say in terms of like technical glitches, bugs, crashing never happened. In terms of the technical side, that is the only thing I can think of, which is very refreshing because it is an open world game. Open world in the sense that they give you playgrounds, right? So I believe there's 10 locations in this game, and they are relatively open. There's plenty of buildings. There's plenty of themes. This game just has such a good personality. So I mentioned like the beach. There's the pier. I think that's actually part of the beach. But there's a thing called Monarch Studios, which is literally a film set. And it's got different films that, like the props and stuff are all set out. Beverly Hills. There are so many locations. And while it's not your Horizons, like it's not, I love Horizon, by the way. I'm not saying it as like a put down. But when you have these huge open worlds, and it's just that, it's an open world, this game cuts it, right? They're in like segments. So you're in one area. It has its quests. You can get a quest from another area. Like maybe you can find a lost and found, and it'll say, well, you have to go there. So you go to the world map, you travel. But they're like condensed open worlds, and there's 10 of them. And they all have their own kind of personality. Again, some I like more than others. Any of them that are in the dark, again, I kind of don't prefer those. And those generally happen towards the end of the game. But the locations that kind of just let you breathe, they're more like, I don't know, there's like stores on like the street front. Like, it's really nice to look at. It's a great game. Like, I'm sorry to keep going back to that. Let me drive it home for the end of this video. I am really impressed. I really am. Now, I don't give scores, so don't expect a score if maybe you're new to the channel. I don't really like review scores, so I don't give them out. This is one of my favorite games of the year, okay? Now, I did a ranking. It's actually a members-only video right now. If you want to become a member, you can join for just $2. But I did a video where I ranked all the games I've played so far. I won't tell you where Dead Island lands in it. I'll probably do a video maybe June or July where we rank the first half of the year. This game's high, like top 3 to 5 high. It deserves it. It shocked me in that everything in this game is good, at least good. The story, I think, is surprisingly good. The characters are super surprisingly good. The detail in the missions, the variety, the fighting zombies. I felt confident that that would be fine, but it's a joy to, like, it's a lot of fun to play. It doesn't really get old because, again, all the variations of the zombies, the different weapons, they throw in some kind of like elite, like specialized groups of zombies kind of to keep you on your toes. It's just really good. Oh, I want to throw out one last thing. So I believe there's 6 playable characters. That's a lot. But I played as Amy, in case people were wondering who'd you play as. Amy, I literally judged it because in the beginning you have a cutscene that shows everybody, and they're talking. So you hear the voice acting. So Amy, to me, sounded the best. Sounded like the highest quality. I love her. I think if you guys, I know I'm into Scream, so this, you know, oh, Alex, you're bringing Scream in. She reminds me almost like Kirby in Scream, Hayden Panettiere. That's who she reminds me of. Along with maybe, she reminds me of one other person that I can't remember at the time, but I did remember yesterday when I was playing. She's a really cool personality. Now, the story doesn't like deviate much, right? Like, all of them generally have the same path, but I was really impressed with her voice acting. Like, I think her voice acting was fantastic. I can't speak, and I won't speak to the other 5 because I just don't know, but I picked her because her voice acting in like the 10 seconds I heard of it in the beginning was really good, and I fell in love with. I think she's a great character for whatever that means to people. But I think it's a great game. I think it's well worth your time. And I guess final thing to keep stretching the video. I know, I think it's $70. I understand that's a lot of money, and I'm never going to tell you how to, you spend your money however you want to spend it. I'll spend it how I want to spend it, and obviously, you know, in the beginning, I got it for free, but the idea that a game that's $70, you know, it being 30 hours is too short, I think is ridiculous, because this, in my opinion, is a quality 30 hours. This is not, it's not garbage 30, and I'd rather take quality 30 than 70, but 40 of it is really bad, or 40 of it is fluff, because you still get the same amount. You cut 70 by 40, you still get 30, right? So it doesn't change. So for me, I think it's a perfect length. I don't think this game needs to be 80 hours. I don't think it would really work as an 80-hour game. There's not enough locations and stuff, but I think it works for what it is. And if you want good quality time, which, by the way, you can play this cooperatively, so you can play with other people. I know Jedi Survivor is going to be out, and I'm going to drop my whole life for it as well. Okay, I'm one of the people. But if you're looking for a game to play, and hey, if this game drops on sale in the next month or two, pick it up. I really believe it. I think this is a fantastic game. And you'll see in my rankings, I think I'm going to put it quite high. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. I personally love doing this review. I think it's one of the better reviews I've done. You can let me know in the comments. But no, I appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you're subscribed, bell icon turned on, and I'll see you all on the next one.